You see this? You already know what time it is in New Orleans. When you see this pack right here, Camilla red kidneys, you know what time it is. Now you look at the time back there, you already know I'm late. But this is going to be ready in 2.5 hours. You're not going to have to watch it for 2.5 hours. I'm going to do a New Orleans red bean and rice. But I'm going to chop and edit the video so you don't have to see the whole laborious process. But the first thing you want to do is heat your pots up real slow if you're using cast iron like me. Let them get warm. You also want to boil your beans. I'm going to do 2 pounds of Camilla red beans, right? 2 pounds. And I'm going to just put them in this pot right here. And I'm going to just let them roll for 2 hours. 2 pounds of red beans. Get our trusted chopstick. Put the bag. And this is how you wash your red beans. You hear people say that all the time. Pick your beans, clean your beans, wash your beans, all of that. Cool your beans. I hear that one a lot. Now we put a little water on it. All right. And you're giving it a wash. These beans come washed and picked and all of that good stuff. But we just want to make sure they don't have no bad beans in it, no rocks. Because that'll be bad for you. No dirt, stuff like that. Some people do it all different kind of ways, you know. Maybe your mama or your papa did it a different way. And they taught you how to do it a different way. And that's good. That's good. Hopefully they still with you. I have one mama left. I lost 2 papas and 1 mama. But I'm thankful for the times we had, especially all the good food we ate together and the life lessons they taught. So that's how you wash your beans. And we're going to pick through for some ugly ones, you know. But I eat the ugly ones, I ain't gonna lie. All right. So you could pick this out if you want, but I like that, you know. I like that. That's a good bean. So that's good. Now we have our beans in a pot. We got it on high heat. We're gonna boil these beans for about 2 hours. Now I know some of y'all ain't gonna like this, but don't knock the food that we eat. So I'm putting some smoked turkey necks in here. And the reason of those smoked turkey necks is because it's gonna add a nice flavor to the dish. And I'm using 2 pounds of beans. So I'm gonna use about that much of smoked turkey neck. Now I know some of you ain't gonna like it, and that's okay. Andrew Zimmerman taught us how to respect other people's dietary habits, even if it ain't something we like. So we're going to work on the next step. We're going to boil these beans for 2 hours. Keep in mind your water, you don't want it to boil out. So the best way to do it is to heat up some water in your kettle, whether it's electric or stovetop, and you just add hot water every time you add it to the pot. Keep in mind, you don't want to use hot water from your tap because that water has all kind of calcium and stuff that builds up in the bottom of that hot water heater. And when you use the hot water, that's what you're putting in your pot. So you do not want to use hot water from tap. You want to use hot water that you make either by the electric kettle or the stove. Now I'm also going to add some bay leaf to this, and it'll probably be a few of them, but it's up to you how many you want to add when you cooking your red beans. This is a simple version of red beans, and you don't have to worry about going crazy with all of the stuff that can be added to red beans. So I'm going to keep this recipe super simple because I want you to enjoy it when you try to make it, and maybe you'll actually customize it after you get the baseline recipe to it. So I'm going to add a few bay leaves. Alrighty. So now we're going to add, pardon me. Now we're going to add some of the sausage that we're going to use. We're going to add this to our black iron pot. And you might have saw my earlier video where I did some stewed lemongrass pork chops, and I did them in my sportsman pot. And I realized you can't see the sportsman pot right now, and that's okay. I'm going to show it to you in a second. But this is just a little technique that I do not recommend you try at home because it could go wrong real quick. But you can learn from my mistakes, okay? So typically when you do a red bean dish, everybody cut their sausage different. Some people cut them on an angle like this. Some people cut them on an angle like that. Well, that might not be a good representation. All right, let me show you a better representation. So they cut them on a diagonal like that. They cut them on a diagonal. Some people they'll wheel them as we call it, and that's a wheel, right? Some people will dice them up, and the way you dice it, yeah, we'll do half. We'll do half, and then you do half a half like that, and then you dice them up however small or big you want them, right? And then some people do the half moon, so they'll cut the whole link in half like that, and then they'll cut that half in half, and they'll do the half moon like that. So it does not matter however you want to do it. That's the point. However you like it. Your papa, your mama may have taught you a different way of doing it. Do it however you want. But if you don't know how to do it, that's just a few varieties of how you can do it. And if you listen to people say, this is how you do it, if they're not talking about Montel Jordan, then they're giving you their opinion, and that's fine. We all have one. But there's more than one way to do it. So you find, you look at the bloopers, you find your way of doing it. Okay? All right. So what we're doing now is we're getting our smoked sausage ready and prepped so that we can brown it down in our black pot because we want to render some of the fat that's in there. Yeah, I think I'm going to do. So look, perfect example. My family, sous chef, first lady, they don't really like smoked sausage. I don't understand it, but that's what it is. So the bigger I cut it, the easier it is for them to pick it out. That way when they're in the bean pot, they don't have to worry about anything. They could just pick it out. But so you might want to cut it smaller. If everybody like a smaller piece, one of my friends out in the Colorado area, I gave him my recipe. I do have a recipe for this. And I gave him the recipe, and he said he didn't like the way the big old pieces of sausage taste. It was a texture thing. So, no problem. Make it your own, however you want. This is just a base recipe for starting to cook red beans, all right? So, that's enough of chopping for this video. Just to give you an idea, Manda, this smoked sausage, it's right out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And let me show you this last tip. So when you have links like this, you could cut all three at the same time. And that'll make it a little easier when you're prepping smoked sausage. You can cut them all at the same time. So that's just another little tip. Okay, so now we have our smoked sausage in the pot. And we're gonna just brown it. So we got it on about medium heat, and we're just gonna let it cook till it gets some nice brown color, because that is the basis for the dish. That nice brown color. I'm going to play with light also because I don't know what's better, what's worse. So I'll play with light also. Now, I haven't told you, but pay attention to how your water is sounding in your red bean pot, because that'll let you know when you're low on water. And please, by all means, do not let this scorch and burn. Ain't nothing worse than burnt red bean flavor. But we're going to add some more water to our red bean because we want them to stay hydrated so that they could release all of the wonderful flavor out of it. I also want to talk to you about the smoked turkey neck. Some of you may not agree with it. You may not understand it, but a culture of people use that. So some people don't eat bacon. Some people don't eat pork for health reasons, religious reasons, or other reasons. You have people that are vegan and they don't believe in eating meat at all, whether it's for health or whether it's for social reasons, the suffrage of animals, all of that. So everybody's feelings are legitimate when it comes down to what they eat. So we want to be respectful of what other people eat, even though it may not be something that we eat. And if it's shocking, I understand that too. I understand that too. So my daughter, sous chef, she got to go to Japan and Vietnam a few months ago. And in Japan, they eat raw horse meat. And so she tried raw horse meat. That could be offensive and shocking to some, but as all adult people with a big old brain and the ability to love and help, let's be respectful of other people's food, and you can learn something because one day you might have to eat something like that. So let's just learn from each other through food. Thank you. Stay tuned. I'm going to add some water to these beans. I'm going to add hot water, not cold water, because you don't want to shock them. And you want to keep that fire rolling, and you want to keep them beans rolling for at least 2 hours, because that's going to be right towards where they're going to be soft. It may be a little longer, but you want to keep that fire on high. You want to keep them beans boiling, and you want to keep the bottom of that pot clean. You don't want them sticking. But this is a good sound to know you need to add water. Now watch the difference this hot water from my steam kettle is going to make to the beans. You don't hear all that bubbling no more. But you're going to use a lot of water for 2 pounds of beans. So just keep some hot water on hand. And once you get to the 2 hour mark, you may not want to add too much of water because you don't want to make red bean soup. Okay? So this is a good level of water to have in your beans when they're starting to boil and cook. Okay? The smoked sausage is, whoo-wee, I guarantee. It is looking some kind of good. C'est bon. And I will show you that in a little bit. Now, a lot is, pardon me. I was getting a little parched. A lot can go wrong in this picture because of all of the moving parts. But we're gonna put this onion in. But we're gonna take the smoked sausage out first. But we're gonna add the onion next. So I want to show you how we do that while we're browning the smoked sausage. Now I'm paying attention to the way my beans are sounding. I'm also paying attention to the way the smoked sausage is sizzling and smelling, because those are important keys that you need to use while you're cooking. And we're gonna dice up this onion. We're gonna dice it up. We're gonna do about a small dice. I'm gonna cut it down. I'm gonna cut it down. Cut it down. I'm gonna cut it down. And I'm gonna go down like that. Down like that. And then I'm gonna cut it here. Be nice now. Be nice. Be nice. And I told you we got a little bit of French in us, a little Creole Cajun. So we're gonna dice this up. We're not gonna waste nothing. And it's gonna be good. So we got another half of the onion to cut, and that's fine. But we're gonna just stop right there because you got the thing about this Sportsman Lounge. I have room, so now I'm gonna add the onion to the back of the pot, so that could start browning while I'm cutting up the rest of the onion, and while my smoked sausage is still browning. That's a nice feature of the Sportsman Lounge. Tell you what, We're going to use 2 onions. I typically use 1 onion per pound of beans. So if I do 2 onions, 2 pounds of beans, and I like a medium onion. A medium onion is perfect for everything. I don't like that big old horse onion. I like a medium onion. Maybe it's all in my head. So that's what we're looking like right there. I'm going to eventually pull out all of the smoked sausage. Now we're going to pull out some of the smoked sausage from our skillet. And I'm going to get my little fancy majigum, put it in my pan, like that. Most time, when old Creole the Cajun go cook by other people's house, I leave some of my utensils over there, my pots over there, and that always makes for fun when I realize I don't have my stuff. Because my stuff is by somebody else's house. I don't know if y'all saw it on camera, but I dropped that onion, and we're going to put that onion right back in the pot. Okay? Now I'm going to say it right now. No onion was harmed in the making of this production. Now, this is very important. What you see, that's brown, that is not an onion brown. That is all that flavor in the skillet that onion is camouflaging itself after. It's absorbing all of that flavor, that brown flavor. So that's how you get your stew brown. That's how you get your etouffee brown, your gumbo brown, or any other dish you cook in brown. You let that meat brown in the pot. Once it caramelizes, then you put your onion, your bell pepper, your celery, and it soaks that stuff right up. So stay tuned. All right, so now we're going to cut up our celery. I washed it already because right here at the bottom of it, you always have a little dirt. And that's how you get your fiber. I can tell my onion is really doing what I want it to do. And that's good. That's making me happy. Okay. So let's cut this up. There's a few ways to do it. Some people, they take the little fiber out of the piece. But, yeah, they take those little fibers out. And that's fine. You can do that if you want. I'm not going to do it. You can do it if you want. You can make a little julienne by cutting these little strips like this. Just remember this. If you got kids or picky people or people who don't like to cook, but they just like to tell you how to cook, the smaller you cut stuff, the more you could conceal it in your food. So we like to cut stuff small. You just got to watch those phalanges. And don't peekaboo. And one day I'll do a video on how to hold a knife and how to put your fingers like you see them do on TV so that you don't cut them, but you could keep your cuts consistent. One day I'll do that. But today I just want y'all to see how you do a simple New Orleans style red bean dish. Okay? That's it. Now I'll cut the rest of that celery and I'll sit in your new, huh? So I'll tell you what, another way to cut this celery up, you could just do these little wheels like this, little half wheels. Some people like it like that. But what I'm going to do, because I forgot the bell pepper, I done been to the 4 stores. I was looking for a certain particular brand, because I like to use Varon andouille, and I like to use smoked sausage also. But at the end of the day, I could not get what I needed, so I only got half of what I needed. But like I say, when you know how to do it, you can do it. But I forgot the bell pepper at the stove. But we're not gonna let this bell pepper affect anything. We're not gonna let it affect anything. Just wanted to wake y'all up if y'all was sleeping on this video. I know some of y'all look at them at night when I drop them. But this is gonna be a good video. You can tell all your friends, you can tell everybody that you know how to cook red bean. So that's good or not. Now we're gonna give it a stir-a-roo. And we gotta get this a little bit more tender, because the next thing is gonna help us when we're feeding those picky people I was telling you about, who like it like this, like it like that. And I'm sorry, but this would be a good time to add your bell pepper too. Small dice it. You see me do it in one of my other videos. So small dice that bell pepper. We got some green onion. And this green onion ain't supposed to be this pretty. Nice spring green onion. Sometimes it be as big as a water buffalo, but we call it horse vegetables. And I'll eat it either way because I love green onion. We're gonna do 2 bunches of that. We did about 4 ribs of celery, 2 bunches of green onion. We would do 2 medium bell pepper, 2 medium onion, and that's the recipe there. We put inside the beans. You didn't see it, but I saw it. We put inside the beans. What you call that in English? A Thai chili. We put the 2 Thai chili in it. We didn't cut it. We're just hoping that we could get some of the heat out of it. But the first lady can't handle that heat no more. So that kind of affects the way I prepare supper now. But I like that heat, you know. But when I do my white bean recipe tomorrow, I'm going to put some habanero in that one. So the first lady going to have to just, you know, sit this one out. But I'll put her some on the side. And that's why you don't talk and cut. Because sometimes, you know, your skills get a little slippery. But, you know, it all makes sense. It all makes sense in a few minutes when you see the next step after this stuff browns. I got a special hack for you, tip for you, what I do. Now, see, to me, my aromatics, all of this, it needs a little bit more of something. So I'm going to put a splash. I'm going to put a splash of that EVOOH, extra virgin olive oil, the good kind. That's all I want. I was hoping not to have to use any, but the vegetables just not doing what they're supposed to do like they're supposed to do it. So because I know that, I'm going to do better and help them out. And one thing about it, that vegetable ain't going to brown on top of the pot, on the pot wall. So you got to keep that pot clean and keep your vegetables down on the bottom so that they'll brown. Okay? And that's the nice thing about wood. You can leave it right there and be done. All right, so now we're going to add a little fresh cracked black pepper. Now, something I do, I only add my aromatics to, pardon me, I only add my seasoning to the aromatic. I don't add the seasoning to the pot of liquid. I add the seasoning to the aromatic. So we used about 3 tablespoons of black pepper, and we'll get 3 tablespoons of salt. Now we're cooking 2 pounds of bean, and in the salt we like our high blood pressure. So they say that's how that go, But there you go. Now if you don't believe that was a teaspoon of salt, the last one, that's okay. Mr. Justin Wilson did it all the time. Every Saturday he did it. But there we go. You hear that? That's what we want. So I like to add my salt and my black pepper to my aromatics. And we're missing one thing. I'm surprised y'all didn't call it out. All right, so I'll keep my garlic in the freezer and I smash it in my mortar with my pestle, and then I add it like that. So once it's garlic, you always add your garlic last because you don't want it to burn, and you'll ruin all of this time, money, and work that we put forth so far. You'll ruin it. But you got to move that garlic around, and I used about 5 pieces of garlic. All right. But the next step is going to be the most important step for feeding those picky people that we were talking about earlier. All right, and we're getting real close to it. All right, so this is going to all make sense in a little bit, but we're scooping all of the aromatics out of the pot, and we're putting them into this vessel because we're going to do something very special to them. And this is going to help all of the picky people to not see anything green, anything white, or anything that they could say, "Ooh, I'm not eating that." So this is just for the picky people. And the way this came about was that I love when sous chef eats my food. But let me show you how we do that. Be careful with that hot water. Okay. So we fill it up. And when you buy one of these, they have a little container come with it. So we fill that up and we put that immersion blender wand in. And now we grind all of this up. Look at that. We grind all this up. Now if you add shrimp stock or beef stock, you add that stock to it. And then you grind it up. And that's how you please all the picky people who don't like to see this and don't like to see that. And you don't sacrifice your flavor. Because if you grind this before you brown it, you are not going to have that rich color that you should have. Now that's good. Now watch this. That's what we want. That's what we want. That's exactly what we want. And this is so good, you could put it on rice and eat it. But there's only one thing that's going to make this better. I told you we ain't wasting no food over here. Too many mouths to feed. And that dollar ain't going too far these days. Now, there's only one thing that's going to make that better. And I know you're going to love it. You remember all of that stuff? That goes right back in the skillet now. And that is the key. Come on out of there. No stowaways. And that's the key. And so now you stir this up and you just let this do what it do on that heat. It's going to get all married together, and that's what you're looking for. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to see too many people doing these steps. But when you love to cook and you love to eat and you love to make people happy, you'll do this sometimes. But that is how you do that for the picky people. Get that heat back on. And it's coming along nice. It's coming along nice. Whoo! So now we're gonna just let this ragu together on low for the next 35 minutes, 40 minutes. The longer the better. And then flavors gonna get together. And we're gonna check this like this for flavor, you know. And we might have to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. And that's enough right there. You might think it's a lot, and I understand that. It could be a lot. Could be a lot. But I'm trying to get high blood pressure. So, you know, and I'm not going to add in more pepper because I'm satisfied there. I'm satisfied there. And we're going to just let that nicely ragu. Now I'm going to take a little bit of water. I'm not going to drink this, but I want to clean out. I told you we're not wasting nothing. I'm going to roll that down like that and clean that out and add a little bit of water to that. And this is just going to ragu away just like that. And that's what you want. This is the flavor of the South. I'm trying to tell you that. Okay? So stay there. See you in a second. To give you an update, the beans are coming along nice. I checked one, they're kind of tender, but we're not ready. But we wipe the stove as we go. So that cleanup is a breeze when we're done. We look at our smoked sausage down there, ragu, with that aromatics. Oh yeah, flavor of the South. And you don't even see all that green stuff because it ain't no chunks. So when it goes into this red stuff, hoo-wee, ça c'est bon. Oh yeah. It's the flavor of the South. This is a simple, quick, I ain't gonna say quick like that, but quick red bean recipe coming straight out of New Orleans. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna pull our red beans off the stove, off the heat, excuse me, and we're gonna give them a stir. Make sure the bottom of the skillet, I can't talk to save my life. But make sure the bottom of the pot ain't sticking, and it's not, I already confirmed it. And then we're gonna take and we're gonna put these two items together. So, avalanche! Oh, I was supposed to say timber! I hope none of that splashed on you like it did me. No. Why didn't I put the aromatics in the pot with the beans? That's a good question. They call that a executive decision. And I winged that decision right there in front of you. And I figure you could look at this camera and see how wonderful these beans are looking. Now look, they're not ready yet. They're not ready yet. They're not ready yet. But they're on their way. So, like we do in every kitchen, while we wait, we clean up. That way, when you're done, you don't have a big mess. So we clean up. And sometimes these red beans, they like popcorn. They like to pop. And we got to clean all that up. Because if you don't keep the kitchen clean, you're not cooking in the kitchen. You'll have every rodent in the city in your pots. And we don't want that at all. That ain't no good. So we keep it clean as we go. Now, you tell me if that don't look good. You tell me, and I'm going to believe you. But you know, I'm going to taste this tonight. It's about 7, almost 7:30 Central Standard Time Zone. And this is some good New Orleans style red beans. It's a simple recipe. We got 2 medium onion. We have 4 rib of celery. We have 2 Thai chili pepper. We have 4 pieces of turkey neck. We have 2-pound smoked sausage. We got some salt. We got some black pepper. And we got some bay leaf. We forgot the bell pepper. You can't tell looking. I know that. I'm going to go for a little taste. Oh my God. Whoo! That is so good. Now I'm going to tell you. One thing you're going to learn about Bod Cook. When Bod Cook, the only seasoning he used is salt, black pepper, red pepper. Unless I'm doing that 17th century, and I'll put some nutmeg on it. But typically, when I cook, I don't use any of those bases and all of that fancy stuff that make food taste good. I just keep it simple. Salt, black pepper, cayenne pepper. And if I want onion, I use onion. If I want garlic, I use garlic. So I keep it simple like that. I want bell pepper, I'll use that. But these beans are very, very good. And I'm going to show you how you taste beans or any of your food. You got to get a tough Hann, a Hann that can handle that heat. And then you get a little liquid, that liquid hot. And then you taste it like that. Or you use your 5 fingers. That's 1. Don't use the same finger. Don't double dip. 2. You get the point, right? This is your food, so you could taste it. I'm not cooking at your wedding. I'm not cooking at your party. I'm cooking for me. And I'm just bringing y'all along because this is what y'all want to see. All right. Look at here, people. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. And you know why I appreciate y'all? Because y'all want to see this. I'm doing this for y'all. This is how we live, but I'm doing it for y'all. I'm happy that y'all want to see this. Because in seeing this, the story continues. The culture continues. The sharing of gifts continues. This is a privilege for me to be able to show you this. Now, look, I know some of y'all ain't going to like to see that back there. I know that. But this is still a privilege for me to be able to show you this. And I want to say thank you. Now, I'm going to plate it up. Don't tell sous chef I'm using her bowl. But right there, touch it so it don't drip. All right, that's it. That's all you need. You're going to come back for more. Now, because I didn't cook white rice, I'm going to use something special. If it comes out the pot, the cup, the glass. No, I wet it. So I'll tell you what. See that? That's how it happens when you're cooking. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this tripod work for us. Yeah, we're going to let this tripod work for us. That way I can use my hands. So I'm going to give it a good shake and a thump and a tap. It's like one of them. There we go. Man. There we go. Now we're going to show you the forbidden rice. That is forbidden rice with New Orleans red beans on. We have to do this. You know, now when you put smoked turkey neck in your beans, you do not have to eat it. You don't have to eat it. But I'm telling you right now, this is so tasty. This is so tasty. I wish you was here. Now I'm gonna tell you what it tastes like. I'm not even gonna touch the forbidden rice. Got our spoon. It's hot too. That tastes like New Orleans. That tastes like New Orleans. No, we'll put it with the forbidden rice. That's so good. That's so good. Now we'll try a little piece of the smoked turkey neck. Why not? If it made all these beans taste good, wouldn't it, stand to reason? I am satisfied. I am delighted. This is a beautiful video. The flavors of the red beans, man. I didn't even put hot sauce in this. This is good. This is really good. Salt, black pepper. Man, if I put a little hot sauce on it, I might fall out dead. The flavor is that. The flavor. Who do you see finishing that plate? People that cook good food. The proof is in the pudding. Now I want to apologize to all of the mamas out there that want to whoop me from eating over this pot. But as you see, mama, I didn't. I was eating over the bowl. The bowl was over the pot. We just wrapped up that New Orleans red bean video. And maybe you see the white stuff in the bottom of that pot. That's just calcium from the water. We have some of the best water in New Orleans, straight out the Mississippi. That was a joke, but it is good. I drank it my whole life. 43 years old. I don't have cancer yet. When I was a little boy, we used to play sports, and we would put our mouth on that water hose until that hot water ran out. And then when that cool water came out the ground, the spigot, we really enjoyed that. And you wipe the outside of your pot too. And that's how you season your pot after you cook. But we're not done. We're not done. We're not done. Now we get our trusty, faithful pot rod, and we wipe all that oil out. That extra oil that was there. And we wanted to have a thin layer of oil. And get out a big wipe. Get out a big wipe. Clean that again. And then we get the bottom. And that's how you keep your pot nice, seasoned, and ready to be non-stick when you cook an egg in it. Now you see how it's smoking? That's what you want. Because what that does is, when it smokes, it kills all of the oil, so now it can't go rancid and get go bad on you. That's what rancid means. It's a fancy way of saying go bad. So we're gonna let that sucker smoke a little bit more. And that pot gonna be done. And then when we finish eating these red beans, we're gonna do that same thing to that pot. Some people just don't want to work hard. They think everything is supposed to be Teflon, Meflon, Mayday, Heyday, all that stuff, huh? But it's okay. First lady said it stinks, but dried shrimp don't stink. Spoiled shrimp stink. But you know how it is, to each his own. We're both experts.